hope you had a fantastic day. Thank you so much for keeping it TV47. My name is Tracy Mokami and this is Body Garage, the show where we learn more about the human body. Now this week is Breastfeeding Week and we are here at MP Shire Hospital based in Parklands to learn more about lactation. We're here to speak to our lactation expert. And stay tuned because this episode affects our mothers, our sisters, our spouses. So let's meet Daktari. Thank you so much, Asha, for agreeing to this interview. I keep calling you a lactation expert. Is that what you really are?
Oh, thank you, Tracy, for having me. I'm very excited and very glad to be here. Yes, I'm more of a lactational consultant. Yes, and I'm a nurse midwife, a childbirth educator. Yes, and lactational consultant is more of a passion for me. Yes.
All right. So let's just talk about breastfeeding, especially because this is Breastfeeding Week all around the world. For a lot of moms, breastfeeding varies a lot. From your experience, what are some of those experiences you've seen in the field, the different kinds of challenges that people experience with breastfeeding?
There are many challenges that mothers face. One of the main challenges that begins at the hospital is lack of early production of milk. This has different reasons it has different reasons why this can happen. One being probably you've had a traumatic, long, stressful delivery. This can delay the lactation, the initiation of the breast milk. For CS mothers, the surgery, the pain, this as well can make initiation of breast milk to be delayed. Usually for CS mothers, by the time the baby begins lactation, it is a while. So we encourage them to initiate lactation as soon as the baby comes and breastfeed more frequently. We have quite a number that are associated with the baby, such as inability of the baby to latch. It can be due to different reasons. Maybe the baby has an issue with the cleft palate. The babies are born with cleft palate. Tongue tie, they make lactation a bit difficult. We have mothers who have inverted nipples, flat nipples, very large nipples. These are some of the challenges that can make initiation of breast milk, since lactation has not taken place, to delay the onset of breast milk. Ideally, we recommend breast milk as the ideal nutrition for the baby, but at times in certain situations where completely the baby is not able to latch or for certain reasons, then we can introduce formula.
All right, okay. And for the people around these new moms, what can they help with to help the mom distress? Yeah, are there things that the people who are not breastfeeding, who are around that new mom, can do to help this mom actually produce milk?
Yes, actually, if much, it's about elevating the stress, the support. She needs a lot of support. Once the mother is not stressed, automatically the breast milk will start coming in, because despite the premature birth, the breast milk is usually started being produced by the end of second trimester. So we expect this mother with support, she'll be able to produce milk by pumping, and more regular pumping increases the supply of the milk.
All right. Okay. Now when the mom first gives birth, yeah, there's that first milk and it differs from one individual to the other. Some say they get a yellow kind of milk first, others say a watery type of milk. I don't know if it's milk that comes out, yeah? What are those differences in the first milk that comes out?
The very first milk the mother produces is called the colostrum. The colostrum is a sticky yellowish substance that is very high in nutrients, and I wouldn't say it really varies. Yes, some will find that it does not have the deep yellow color, but as long as the first milk, we'll call it colostrum. It comes loaded with a lot of nutritional benefits, and it has antibodies, and it has a mild laxative that helps the baby to excrete the very first poop that we call the meconium. So it is a very, very beneficial milk that we would want all the babies to get and tap on it on the nutrients as well.
Then what is that clear fluid that usually comes out from mom's breasts, even before they start breastfeeding?
It is actually it's milk. We can't call it water, it's milk. We call it milk. In the beginning it will come as a clear fluid, but as time goes, we'll get the colostrum, and eventually as days goes, it will mature to the mature milk.
Asha, you spoke about latching, yeah? And I do not know if this is what usually causes a cracked nipple. A lot of moms have really complained and really looked for ways to try and soothe their sore nipples. What causes it?
Actually, the only way around cracked nipples is a proper latch. A latch essentially is when the baby attaches its mouth to the breast and forms a latch. And a proper latch is what prevents cracked nipples. So it all goes around to latching to prevent the cracked nipples. Yes. So.
So what you're saying is when the baby latches wrongly is when moms experience cracked nipples.
Cracked nipples, yes.
All right.
Yes.
And how can they improve the state of their nipple? Some use lanolin cream, others use Vaseline. Should we apply anything on the cracked nipples?
Actually, if we did a proper latching, we'll never get to the lanolin and the Vaseline and everything that you need. But because there's some who go the entire period of exclusive breastfeeding without having need to use any of these creams. So I would recommend that every new mother gets support on latching, and they ensure before they leave the hospital they are able to latch on the babies properly, and this will prevent a lot of problems about the latching, the cracked nipples, painful nipples, bleeding nipples, and all this.
Does then the mom need to wash their nipples before they breastfeed? Because isn't the baby then getting, as they breastfeed, they are eating away the creams that they have?
Actually, you realize most of these creams, actually most of them will come with a user manual. Some will be washed before breastfeeding, others will be you can breastfeed without having to wash the breast. So it depends with what product you used on the breast. Yes.
Is there a feeding schedule, or how do you work around breastfeeding? Do you breastfeed all the time? How do you ensure that the baby is getting fed?
I would say baby feeding is sort of individualized. You realize that some babies, immediately they are born, they'll do a continuous feed, which we call a cluster feeding. There some will feed on demand, depending. The cluster feeding basically is just the baby trying to tell the brain we need more milk. The more they breastfeed, the more the body makes more milk. This is basically for the mothers who are not having enough milk. And you may realize day 1 you're okay, day 2 you're discharged home and you don't sleep all night, the baby is on the breast. This is cluster feeding. It's just the baby doing its work to initiate breast milk. And once it's not a permanent, it's a temporary until the breast milk flow is increased. And once it's job of letting the body know that this is the amount of milk that I need, and the body produces the amount of milk that the baby needs, it stops cluster feeding and we go to feeding on demand. Feeding on demand is as the baby wants. When the baby is awake and they want to feed, you just feed them. Yes.
And how do you know that milk for this baby is enough? Because a lot of moms say maziwa yangu haitoshi mtoto. How do you know that I am producing enough milk? Maybe I need to supplement.
Oh, that's a very good question, because most mothers will wonder, am I giving enough to the baby? Is the baby getting enough or not? Some of the cues that you can get that your baby is getting enough milk is how the baby is swallowing. You can hear the swallow. You need to hear a good swallow. Again, the number of wet diapers that you change in a day. We expect by day 7 you're changing 6 to 8 wet diapers. And after the feeding, how is the baby? Is the baby content? Is the baby happy? Is the baby satisfied? Those are some of the things that you can just note to know that your baby is getting enough. Other than that, we'll need to do the weighing of the baby, which is the true measure that the baby has gained weight. And this is done every time you do a pediatrician visit.
I want us to talk about exclusive breastfeeding, because for a lot of people, we do not actually understand what it means to exclusive breastfeed. We have had instances where some say you can give your baby water. That is still exclusive breastfeeding. Is it just breast milk, or you can add on to other, things to supplement the breast milk, or is it just breast milk only? Especially water. A lot of, especially old moms in the village, they will tell you you're not giving your baby water, you need to give your baby water What is exclusive breastfeeding?
True, that's a good one as well. You see, exclusive breastfeeding means you're exclusively giving the baby breast milk only, without water, without food, without uji, just breast milk only. And it's breast milk has sufficient amount of water, so we just need to educate the mothers and tell them that the breast milk has enough water. You don't need to give water. Actually, the very full milk is water. And exclusive breastfeeding means you give your baby breast milk from 0 to 6 months. That is exclusive breastfeeding without any supplementation. Either water, uji, nothing, just breast milk.
And maternity leave in Kenya usually ends by 3 months. You need to go back to work. And there's a lot of pumping of milk that might be required. If a mom wants to continue with exclusive breastfeeding, what is this that they need to do to ensure that their baby has enough milk for the time that they're away?
Unfortunately, the maternity leave is quite short. Some will get 3 to 4 months, which is still not adequate to do exclusive breastfeeding, as we need it to be up to 6 months. So they will need to pump to get enough to push them to the 6 month mark. So we encourage mothers to invest in a good pump. And doesn't have to be a breast pump. You can as well do hand expressing. There's some who realize after you've used the breast pump, you still have some milk left in, and you can still do a hand breast.
Handling of this milk. When you pump, using the pump, or using your hands, however way, how do I store this milk? How do I warm it when the baby needs to breastfeed? To feed now from the bottle?
Okay, breast milk is very sensitive, and the basic of it is hygiene. You need to maintain hygiene. You need to sterilize your pumps. You need the bottles, the containers you're storing milk in. We say freshly pumped milk can be kept in room temperature for 4 hours if you intend to use it at the same time. Like if you're like approximating, I'll need to feed my baby in like 4 hours. You don't need to refrigerate the milk as long as you use it within 4 hours and store it in a clean container. In the normal fridge, we can store milk 4 to 7 days. In the freezer, we can store milk 6 to 12 months as long as it's frozen. Once we get this milk from the freezer and thaw it, we recommend you use it all and don't refreeze it again. Though milk should not be refrigerated, yes, like I've said. If the baby was feeding on some milk and it's left over, maybe it didn't get to finish it, you make sure you use it within 2 hours. Yes.
All right. How do we thaw this milk?
Yes. We don't recommend hot water for this breast milk. It's live. You can kill some of the nutrients in it if you like boil it in a sufuria. So we need to thaw it. If you intend to use your next day's milk, you can put it in the normal fridge. So by the morning, it's already thawed. And as you're warming it, you need to warm in warm water, not hot water. Warm water, and avoid shaking this milk. There's some proteins that you can denature by the action of shaking the milk. So you just swirl the milk gently if you need to mix it, because when it's stored for long, you realize it's separating layers. The fat is on top, the milk is down. So when you need to mix it, you just swirl the milk. Do not shake.
When we talk about these moms, needing to express for these babies that they are leaving at home, that means you need ample milk supply, Does the food that we eat, the moms in the village tell us to eat njahe and porridge and all these other traditional meals. Does it matter what the mom eats?
Ideally, breastfeeding increases the mother's need for energy, and that means more calories for the mother. A breastfeeding mother will need over 500 to 700 calories a day to maintain the production of milk. So what we say is a mother needs to have a well-balanced diet, eat when they're hungry, drink when they're thirsty. We cannot really defy the tradition foods, because there are some that really increase the breast milk. But as long as a mother has had a balanced diet, they are drinking plenty of fluids, then it's sufficient for them to get the milk that they need.
A lot of moms are usually fixated on losing weight, especially after they have had their babies, if you're dieting, if you're exercising, do any of these things affect production of milk?
Yes. Unfortunately, dieting will definitely affect the milk production, because you see the mother's need for calories has increased. So if they diet, then that means the body will not be able to make more milk for the baby. So we discourage dieting. Exercising is good for the mother. As long as they maintain a well-balanced diet, they can exercise without any problem, as long as they've gotten a go-ahead from their doctor, depending on the mode and type of delivery. On top of well-balanced diet, actually we say that breastfeeding, exclusive breastfeeding, helps mothers to go to their pre-pregnancy weight. Yes, and it helps in returning back of the uterus, which actually reduces the size of the stomach. The more you breastfeed, the more the uterus goes back, the more your stomach reduces. So in a way, breastfeeding helps in losing weight.
All right, okay.
So it's a good thing.
Yeah, so people should actually be encouraged to continue breastfeeding.
Yes. The burning of calories that is involved in making of the milk is quite something in losing weight.
Let us talk about the need for a lot of moms to go back to their lifestyles as they were before they had these babies. A lot of, I'm not calling Kenyan moms drunk, so do not stone me on this one, yeah? But we have had instances where a lot of people feel like they can go back to having their glass of wine, their beers and all. Alcohol and breastfeeding.
Yes, as much as we'd want the mothers to go back to their lifestyles, unfortunately we'd not encourage mixing of alcohol and breastfeeding. Because alcohol has been found to pass through breast milk and they can get to the babies. And alcohol and babies do not mix. Actually, it can cause brain retardation. It can reduce the amount of oxygen in their growing brain, and this can cause other effects to the baby. So we discourage a lot alcohol and breastfeeding.
All right. And I have seen a lot of people try to do this after you have had your glass of wine or whatever it is that you're having. If you had stored milk previously, if a mom really feels the urge to have a drink, after how long then can they breastfeed their babies?
If you have stored milk, I would encourage you to give the stored milk and maybe express and dump. Yes, and it differs to depends with what you took, so you need to know how long it is in your system. Yes, it can take quite a number of hours, 6 to 8 hours. Yes.
I don't know where people got this notion that Guinness actually helps mothers who are breastfeeding to increase their supply of milk. All these are myths, yeah?
That's a myth, actually. There's no literature, there's no research that has shown that Guinness increases the breast milk. I think it's the idea that Guinness is made of barley, and we know barley has an effect on increase in milk supply. But at the end of the day, it's alcohol. Yes, so we don't encourage. It's a myth, let's say.
What happens? You mentioned that you express and dump when the mother has taken alcohol. What if the mother is sick?
When the mom is sick, if they are stable enough to breastfeed, we encourage them to breastfeed. When the mother is sick, this means they're either exposed to virus or bacteria, and as a reaction, the body produces antibodies. And these antibodies passes to the breast and to the baby. This in turn increases the baby's immunity. So we encourage the mother to breastfeed. Actually, you realize a mother could have a flu, but the fact that the body is already producing some antibodies, it protects the baby from catching the flu. Yes, if the mother is able to, they are stable enough, then they better breastfeed.
All right.
Yes.
Are there some medication that the mom can be given that can actually pass through the breast milk and affect the baby?
Yes, there's some medication. That's why you're not supposed to self-medicate. Always make sure you have a prescription from a doctor, and remember to inform your doctor that you're breastfeeding so that they can consider which type not to give or to give you.
Right.
Yes.
This phenomenon is not very common in Kenya, but it was there since the days of the Bible, yeah? Moses was given to a wet nurse, yeah? Yes. The phenomenon of wet nurses in Kenya, how common have you experienced it as you work?
Actually, we can't say it's a new thing. As you said, it's something that has been practiced. Even Muhammad of the Quran had a wetness.
Alright.
Yeah, so
For the purpose of that person who does not understand what wet nursing is.
Oh, wet nursing is where I am not able to give my own breast to my baby, then I give it to someone else, a sister, a relative, to breastfeed for me. That is wet nursing.
Must it be a sister or a relative?
Yeah, whoever is available to do the wet nursing for you. In these times have changed a lot with many infections that we have. People have developed a mistrust, so it's not really acceptable as it was in the beginning, in the old days. So it's a bit not really common, yes. But to add on to that, we have a milk donor bank coming up actually here in Kenya. So it's a good step towards helping mothers who may need a wet nurse instead. They can get the milk from a donor milk bank. There is a one being set up in Pumwani. It's not yet complete, but they are working on it. So it will come in hand for the mothers who need, the babies who need breast milk and they do not have an alternative where they can get it. Yeah, so they can access the milk donor bank.
I think we cannot overemphasize on the importance of breastfeeding, especially during this week where it's awareness, for breastfeeding. Why is it very, very important for us to breastfeed?
All right, so the benefits of breastfeeding to babies are numerous. We cannot even exhaust them. First off, breast milk is readily available. It's in the right content in terms of nutrients. It's well balanced. Babies digest it very well and helps them gain weight, the proper weight. You realize breastfed babies, we rarely have risks of obesity. Breastfed babies have a stronger immunity, and also research has shown that breastfed babies are smarter actually, and they have a stronger immunity. Also onto that, it has its benefits to the mother as well. Like we said, they gain their pre-pregnancy weight back while they're breastfeeding. It prevents some cancers like breast and ovarian cancer. And during the postpartum period, it reduces the bleeding and the return of the uterus. Yes, due to the hormone that is produced, the oxytocin, while breastfeeding.
All right.
One last to mention a few.
All right. There's some babies who are actually lactose intolerant. Can you be allergic to your mother's milk?
Yes, you can if you're depending on what your mother is eating. Yes, and there's some who are completely allergic and the breastfeeding has to stop. Cool thing is there's some formulas that are hypoallergenic formulated for these babies. Yeah.
All right, sawa Asha, thank you so much for educating us about breastfeeding. I hope back at home you're breastfeeding your baby as much as you should as well. Asha, I think you can demonstrate for us just in a minute or two, how to handle these babies when we are latching them, when we are burping them and all these other things,
Okay.
All right.
First off, for a proper latch, you need to be in a comfortable seat, comfortable position. That's the beginning of a proper latch, because the moment you're not comfortable, eventually things will just go wrong. So to begin with, you need to hold your baby, bring your baby closer to your stomach. Do not take the breast to the baby, let the baby come to you. You can have a breastfeeding pillow for support and turn the baby such that the belly button touches your stomach and support your baby with your other arm and make sure the baby is fully supported. Then you have a free hand to guide the baby to the breast. To initiate latching, you make sure the baby's mouth is wide open. So to stimulate this, you can tap the baby's mouth or tip of the nose with your breast, with your nipple. When the nipple touches the baby's nose, it will encourage them to open their mouth wider. So when the baby's mouth is widest open, that's when you put in the breast and ensure that most of the black part that we call the areola is inside. You can't see it. You see less on top and more at the bottom.
Okay. All right.
Yes, and when the baby has a proper latch, you hear or see the baby swallowing, and it should not be painful, it should not be pinching, it should be comfortable. That's when you know the baby has a good latch. Yes, and to ensure To just make sure you have a good latch is when you can move your free hand, then you know you're holding your baby well. Because if your baby is not held well, you keep on adjusting, shifting the baby. But the moment you have a proper cradle of the baby, then you'll be comfortable and you have a free hand to sip water as you watch your baby breastfeeding.
All right. Mapping.
And once you're done it's very essential that you bap the baby once you're done breastfeeding. You just need to support your baby from the back. Always make sure there's a arm supporting the head of the baby. Put them you can place a cloth and you rest the baby on your shoulder and support them, and your free hand can wrap on the back to encourage the bapping.
Thank you so much for keeping it TV47. That is all the time that we had for Body Garage. My name is Tracy Mokami. Remember, MP Shah Hospital has taken all the necessary measures to ensure you're safe during this COVID-19 period. So do not hesitate to come to hospital if you're feeling unwell. And I hope you have learned as much as I have about breastfeeding as well. See you next week, same place, same time, for more information about the human body. See ya.